The Reckoning of Shadows. Sonny outsmarts Sidwell in a deadly game of deception. Port Charles had seen its fair share of betrayals, but nothing quite prepared the city for the chilling plot that nearly sent an innocent man to prison, and a woman to her grave. It began with whispers in the dark. A deadly conspiracy birthed in the mind of one of the most dangerous and calculating adversaries to ever walk the shadows of General Hospital, Sidwell. Sidwell had long carried a grudge against Sonny Corinthos. His vendetta wasn't simply about territory, money, or power. It was personal, deeply so. And now, after months of planning, surveillance, and quiet manipulation, he believed he had found the perfect opportunity to dismantle Sonny's world piece by piece, starting with the woman who had recently come to mean everything to him, Natalia. Sidwell's plan was both elegant and horrifying. By eliminating Natalia and framing Sonny for her murder, he would kill two birds with one stone. He would rid himself of a perceived traitor and simultaneously remove the most powerful figure on the East Coast from play. A power vacuum would follow, chaos would ensue, and Sidwell would step in to pick up the pieces. It was a cruel strategy, but one that had been meticulously calculated. What Sidwell hadn't anticipated, however, was that Sonny, haunted by his past, but sharper than ever, was already several moves ahead. It started with a whisper, a warning that came to Sonny through one of his longtime allies. There was a leak in Sidwell's organization, a sliver of conscience buried deep inside one of his enforcers. That whisper saved Natalia's life. Sonny learned of the hit before it happened, hours before a team of killers was set to descend upon Natalia's safe house. That night, Sonny made his move. In the darkness, under the veil of secrecy, he had Natalia extracted and taken to a secure location known only to him and a handful of loyal men. He then orchestrated a flawless deception, leaving behind subtle evidence that made it appear as though she had never left. The room was staged to look lived in, clothes strewn across the bed, a half-drunk glass of water on the nightstand, her phone charging by the window. Sonny even arranged for the lights to flicker on at set intervals, making it seem as though Natalia was simply sleeping inside. Just after midnight, Sidwell's men struck. The strike team moved with ruthless efficiency, their orders clear: no witnesses, no evidence, only a dead body and a trail that pointed directly to Sonny. They broke in, silenced the guards, and fired into the bed where Natalia was believed to be sleeping. When the dust settled, they fled, leaving behind the scene of a staged assassination and a body swap that never existed. There was no corpse, only blood, strategically placed, and a trail of staged panic that played right into Sidwell's hands. By sunrise, the headlines were ready. Mafia kingpin Sonny Corinthos suspected in murder of lover, the press screamed. Social media exploded with speculation, and Sidwell's message began to spread. Through intermediaries and online leaks, he orchestrated a carefully timed campaign of public outrage and misinformation. The pressure mounted swiftly. Police units arrived at Sonny's estate with search warrants. Cameras camped outside his home. Protesters gathered in the streets. And yet, through it all, Sonny remained calm. because he knew what came next. 24 hours after her supposed death, Natalia walked into the Port Charles Police Department, alive, unharmed, and holding the very bullet casing fired by Sidwell's assassin. The moment her face appeared on security cameras and live broadcasts, the narrative shifted. Reporters were stunned. Viewers were shocked. The police were left scrambling to reframe their investigation. But most importantly, Sidwell's web of lies began to unravel. Natalia's public reappearance wasn't just a vindication, it was a declaration of war. And Sunny made sure everyone heard it. Standing beside her at the press conference, Sunny demanded a full criminal investigation into the attempted murder of Natalia and the conspiracy to frame him for a crime that never occurred. He handed over surveillance footage, audio recordings, and sworn statements from witnesses inside Sidwell's organization. The proof was undeniable. As detectives worked around the clock to untangle the conspiracy, Sidwell's empire began to crack. His most trusted enforcers were detained for questioning, their loyalty crumbling under the weight of evidence. Business partners began to sever ties. Associates went into hiding. And behind the scenes, Sunny maneuvered with surgical precision, isolating Sidwell from his resources and allies one by one. But the real victory wasn't the press conference, the police raid, or even the collapse of Sidwell's operations. It was the psychological blow Sunny delivered by allowing Sidwell to believe, if only briefly, that he had won. For just a moment, Sidwell tasted victory, thinking he had finally broken the unbreakable. And in that moment of arrogance, he exposed himself. In truth, Sidwell had lost the moment he underestimated Natalia. He had seen her as a weakness, a pawn. But Natalia had proven herself a survivor. She had faced the death meant for her and come back stronger, more resolute, and willing to stand at Sunny's side no matter the cost. Her resilience became Sunny's greatest weapon, and her courage turned the tide of an entire war. As charges were filed and the manhunt for Sidwell escalated, Sunny knew this battle was far from over. Shadows like Sidwell didn't disappear quietly. There would be more traps, more enemies, more nights of uncertainty. But one thing had changed: Port Charles no longer saw Sunny as just a mobster. He had exposed a conspiracy, protected the woman he loved, and shown the city that some battles aren't fought for power, but for truth. And truth, once revealed, is a force that no shadow can contain.